The news of humanity's victory at Creve Prime spread across the galaxy faster than light itself. In every corner of known space, species watched the recordings of the battle with a mixture of awe and fear. The humans had done the impossible. They had defeated a force 5 times their size and made it look almost easy. On Earth, Admiral Dae-jung stood in the military command center, surrounded by his senior staff. Reports were flooding in from across human space. The victory had united humanity like nothing before. Every person, every colony, every outpost felt the same surge of pride and determination. But Dae-jung knew this was not the end. It was only the beginning. Intelligence reports from Ambassador Yuna, his aide said, handing him a data tablet. The Galactic Coalition has convened an emergency session. Grand Admiral Velkoth has been ordered to assemble a peacekeeping fleet. Dae-jung read the report carefully. 2,000 Coalition warships were being gathered from across the galaxy. Their mission was to force humanity back into compliance with Coalition authority. How long before they're ready to move? He asked. 72 hours, sir. Dae-jung looked at the faces of his officers. They were tired from the battle at Creve Prime, but there was no defeat in their eyes. Only determination. Then we have 72 hours to make our position clear, he said. Get me a connection to every human ship, every colony, every outpost. It's time we told the galaxy exactly where we stand. 6 hours later, Admiral Dae-jung stood before a camera, the blue and green Earth visible through the window behind him. His broadcast would reach every corner of the galaxy, transmitted on every frequency that existed. People of the Galactic Coalition, he began, his voice clear and strong. My name is Admiral Dae-jung of the Earth United Fleet. I speak for all humanity today, and I speak clearly so there can be no misunderstanding. He paused, making sure his words would have maximum impact. For 3 years, human colonies were attacked by pirates. We followed Coalition protocols. We filed the proper requests. We asked for help, as any member species should be able to do. And we were ignored. 3,000 of our people died while the Coalition debated and delayed. His voice grew harder. We learned that this was not an accident. It was policy. The Coalition allowed those attacks to happen. They wanted to teach us humility. They wanted us to accept our place as a minor species. They wanted us to learn that Deathworlders should know their role in the galactic order. He leaned forward, looking directly into the camera. We have learned our role, and that role is not to beg for scraps of justice. That role is not to accept the death of our people with patience and understanding. Our role is to stand up and say, enough. The transmission cut to footage from the Battle of Creve Prime. Ships fighting in impossible conditions. Crews enduring combat for days without rest. The systematic destruction of a force that should have been unbeatable. Dae-jung's voice continued over the images. This is what Deathworlders can do. We are not asking for special treatment. We are demanding equal treatment. We are demanding that the Coalition live up to its own charter. We are demanding respect. The footage changed to show the human fleet assembling in Earth orbit, 500 warships, the largest force humanity had ever created. We make the following demands, Dae-jung continued. First, humanity will have full representation on the Galactic Council, with voting rights equal to any elder species. Second, the Coalition's Charter of Mutual Defense will be enforced for all member species, not just those the Council favors. Third, reparations will be paid for the lives lost due to Coalition negligence. He paused again, letting the weight of his words sink in. If these demands are rejected, humanity will withdraw from the Galactic Coalition. We will form our own confederacy, and we offer protection to any species that wishes to join us. We will no longer accept being second-class citizens in a community that claims to represent unity and justice, but delivers neither. The transmission showed images of 23 different species, all of them minor members of the Coalition who had reached out to humanity secretly. All of them had expressed interest in joining a human-led confederacy. The choice is yours, Coalition Council, Dae-jung concluded. You can have us as equals or you can have us as competitors, but you will never again have us as subjects. This is the Deathworlder Declaration. We will not back down. The transmission ended. Across the galaxy, billions of beings sat in stunned silence. On the Coalition station, the emergency session had descended into chaos. Species were shouting at each other in dozens of languages. The translation systems could barely keep up with the overlapping voices. Ambassador Yuna stood in the center of it all, calm despite the storm. She had received her orders from Earth. No more compromises. No more patience. Just truth. The Velm counselor tried to restore order. This is unacceptable. Humanity cannot make demands of this council. They are a junior species. They have no standing to threaten us. No standing? Yuna's voice cut through the noise like a blade. We have the standing of every species that has ever been betrayed by those they trusted. We have the standing of 3,000 dead civilians. We have the standing of victory against impossible odds. The Quarks pulsed with agitated light. You won one battle. You think that gives you the right to reshape galactic civilization? We think it gives us the right to expect basic justice, Yuna replied. Something you have failed to provide. Counselor Thelvor stood up from his seat, surprising everyone. The young Velm looked directly at the elder council members. She is right, he said clearly. We have failed humanity. More than that, we have failed our own principles. The coalition was founded on the idea that all species deserve protection and representation. Yet we allowed pirates to kill humans while we did nothing. Why? Because we feared their strength. Because we wanted to keep them weak. The chamber erupted again. The Tandari rumbled with anger. You overstepped, Junior Counselor Thelvor. You do not speak for the Velm people. Perhaps I should, Thelvor replied, because it seems the Elder Council has forgotten what justice means. Before the argument could continue, alarms began sounding throughout the station. The tactical displays showed a massive energy signature appearing near the Coalition's home system. Grand Admiral Velkoth's fleet had arrived. 2,000 warships from 100 different species, all under Coalition command, and they were taking position near the human colony world of Armstrong's world. Commander Tejo received the alert on the bridge of the Defiant. His fleet of 500 ships was in orbit around Armstrong's world, protecting the colony. Now they were staring down a force 4 times their size. Well, Captain Hana said from the bridge of the Indomitable, this is going to be interesting. All ships, battle stations, Tejo ordered, but do not fire unless fired upon. We're not starting this war, but we'll finish it if they push us. On the other side of the system, Grand Admiral Velkoth studied the human fleet carefully. He was a member of the Quark species, a skilled military commander who had won dozens of campaigns, but he had never fought Deathworlders before. Admiral, his tactical officer said nervously, the humans are not retreating. They're holding position. I can see that, Velkoth replied. Send them a message. They have 1 hour to withdraw from this system and return to Earth. If they refuse, we will use force. The message reached Tejo minutes later. He read it once, then deleted it. No response, sir? His communications officer asked. No response, Tejo confirmed. We've said everything we need to say. Now we wait. The standoff lasted 3 days. Neither side moved. Neither side backed down. The tension was so thick it seemed solid. On the 3rd day, something unexpected happened. 23 species announced they were withdrawing from the Galactic Coalition and requesting to join humanity's confederacy. They were all minor species, tired of being ignored by the elder races. They saw in humanity something they had been searching for, strength combined with a willingness to fight for justice. The Coalition Council was in crisis. If they attacked humanity now, they might lose dozens more species. The entire galactic order was threatening to collapse. Ambassador Varix, a Tandari diplomat known for his wisdom, volunteered to shuttle between the 2 fleets. He spent hours talking to both Commander Tejo and Grand Admiral Velkoth, desperately trying to find a peaceful solution. But on the 4th day, an overeager Coalition ship captain fired a warning shot. The shot went wide, but it struck and destroyed a human frigate that was positioned between the 2 fleets. For a moment, space was absolutely silent. Then Commander Tejo's voice echoed across every channel. All human ships. They have fired first. You are authorized to return fire. Show them what Deathworlders can do. The Battle of Armstrong's World began. Scientist Yunji had been working in secret for months on a new weapon system. She called it the Quantum Disruption Torpedo. It created a wave of energy that could disable multiple ships simultaneously by overwhelming their power systems. The human fleet had been equipped with 50 of these weapons. Fire quantum torpedoes, Tejo ordered. The strange weapons streaked across space, looking like ordinary missiles at first. Then they detonated, creating expanding spheres of disruption energy. Coalition ships caught in the spheres went dark, their systems overloaded. 150 warships, crews trained and ready, weapons loaded and targeting systems calibrated. They came from ever. The jump into Krevix space was coordinated down to the millisecond. 150 human warships emerged from faster-than-light travel in perfect formation, appearing at the edge of the Krev Prime system like a metal storm. On the bridge of the Defiant, Commander Tejo watched his tactical displays light up with enemy contacts. The numbers were even worse than the intelligence reports had suggested. 500 orbital defense platforms ringed the planet. 300 Krevix warships waited in defensive formations. This was going to be the bloodiest fight in human history. "Sir," his tactical officer said quietly. "They're hailing us. Put it through." Pirate Lord Scraxus appeared on the main screen. He was massive, covered in dark scales with eyes that glowed with confidence.
"So the little humans have come to die."
"How noble. Turn back now and I might let you live." Tejo stared at the Pirate Lord without expression. "You have killed 3,000 of my people. You have stolen our property and enslaved our citizens. I am here to collect payment." "In full," Scraxus laughed, a harsh sound that echoed through the bridge. "Payment?" "Look around you, human. I have 800 weapons pointed at your tiny fleet. You are outnumbered more than 5 to 1. You should have stayed home and accepted your place in the galaxy." "We did accept our place," Tejo said calmly, "right at the top of the food chain. All ships commence Operation Hammerfall." The transmission cut off. For a moment, space was silent. Then the human fleet moved. Captain Hana led the first wave, 12 destroyers accelerating hard toward the outer defense grid. The Krevix platforms opened fire, filling space with energy beams and missiles. But the human ships didn't try to dodge. Instead, they flew straight through the fire, their shields absorbing hit after hit. "Shields at 70%, Hana's tactical officer reported. 65, 60. Steady, Hana said calmly. "Wait for optimal range." The destroyers closed to within 2,000 kilometers of the defense platforms. At this range, human weapons could hit with devastating accuracy. All ships fire. 12 destroyers unleashed everything they had at once. The concentrated firepower overwhelmed the platform's defenses. One by one, they exploded in brilliant flashes of light. Hana's wave punched a hole straight through the outer defensive ring. "Wave 2, move up," Tejo ordered. Behind the destroyers came something new. Engineer Kite had worked for weeks on a special surprise for the Krevix. Human cargo ships filled with debris and scrap metal from Earth's orbital shipyards launched their payloads at incredible speeds. Thousands of pieces of metal became kinetic missiles, each one moving at a significant fraction of light speed. The Krevix had never seen this tactic before. Their sensors went crazy trying to track thousands of incoming projectiles. Their automated defenses couldn't target them all. The metal storm crashed into their defense platforms like a hammer, destroying 50 more in the first minute. Pirate Lord Scraxus watched from his command ship in disbelief. "What are they doing? How are they doing this?" His tactical advisor stammered out a response. "Lord, they're using crude kinetic weapons. Just metal and velocity. Our shields are designed to stop energy weapons, not solid objects moving that fast." "Then deploy the fleet. Stop them." The 300 Krevix warships surged forward to engage the human fleet. This was exactly what Tejo had been waiting for. Once the enemy ships moved away from their defensive positions, they became vulnerable. "Wave 3, execute," he ordered. Captain Hana's destroyers had fallen back to recharge their shields. Now a fresh group of human ships moved forward. But these weren't destroyers. They were carriers, and they launched hundreds of small fighters into space. The fighters were piloted by some of humanity's best. They dove into the Krevix fleet like wolves into a flock of sheep. The pirates had numbers, but they had never fought an enemy this fast, this aggressive, this coordinated. Lieutenant Jin Wu led a squadron of 30 fighters against a group of Krevix cruisers. The enemy ships were larger and more heavily armed, but they were slow and clumsy. Jin Wu's fighters darted between them, targeting their engine sections with precision strikes. Fox 3, engines disabled on target Alpha. Fox 7, I need backup on target Delta. The pilots worked together with an efficiency that came from thousands of hours of training. More than that, they had something the Krevix didn't. They had spent their entire lives competing on a world where only the best survived. Every pilot in that squadron had clawed their way to the top through sheer determination and skill. One Krevix cruiser exploded. Then another. Then 3 more in rapid succession. On the Defiant, Engineer Kite monitored the battle while running calculations on his console. Something was bothering him about the enemy's defensive grid. The power distribution wasn't right. "Commander," he called out, "I think I found something." The orbital platforms are all connected to a central power hub on the planet's surface. If we can hit that hub, we might disable half their defenses at once. Tejo turned to him sharply. "Can you get me targeting coordinates?" "Already done, sir. But it's deep inside their atmosphere. We'd need someone to get through their fighter screen and make a precision strike from low orbit." Tejo didn't hesitate. "Captain Hana, do you copy?" Hana's voice came through with static. "I hear you, Commander. What do you need?" "I need someone crazy enough to fly straight through an enemy fleet, penetrate their atmosphere, and destroy a hardened target under heavy fire." There was a brief pause. Then Hana laughed. "Send me the coordinates. I was getting bored out here anyway." The Indomitable broke formation and accelerated toward Krev Prime. Behind her, 4 other destroyers followed. The Krevix fleet tried to intercept them, but the human ships were too fast and too maneuverable. They dodged through the enemy formation, shields flaring as they absorbed hits, always moving forward. "Entering atmosphere," Hana reported. The ship shook as it hit the dense air. "I have visual on the target. It's a power station surrounded by defensive towers. This is going to be tight." Her tactical officer, a veteran named Sang Min, checked his weapons. "Missiles armed and ready. Shields at 40%. Then let's make this quick." The Indomitable dove toward the surface like a meteor. Defensive fire from the ground lit up the sky. Hana flew through it all, her hands steady on the controls, her eyes locked on the target. At the last moment, she pulled up hard, launching every missile she had directly into the power station. The explosion was massive. The ground shook, and across the orbital defense grid, 250 platforms suddenly went dark. "Target destroyed," Hana shouted. "Getting out of here." The Indomitable climbed back toward space, trailing smoke but still flying. The other destroyers covered her retreat, and together they rejoined the fleet. With half the defense grid down, the human fleet pressed their advantage. They had been fighting for 8 hours straight. Most coalition species would have been exhausted by now. Human crews were just getting started. Sergeant Hyun-sik led a Marine boarding team onto a Krevix space station that controlled part of the defensive network. They came through the airlocks with weapons ready and moved through the corridors like a trained unit. The Krevix defenders had numbers, but they had never fought in close quarters against humans before. They learned quickly that it was a mistake they would not survive. Hyun-sik moved with the efficiency of a predator. He had trained for this his entire military career. Room to room, corridor to corridor. His team cleared the station in 6 hours of brutal combat. The Krevix tried to hold them back, but humans just kept coming. They didn't stop. They didn't tire. They just kept fighting with a determination that bordered on terrifying. "Station secure," Hyun-sik finally reported. "Uploading control codes now." With the station captured, human forces could disable another 100 defense platforms remotely. The siege was turning into a rout. On his command ship, Pirate Lord Skraxus watched his perfect defenses crumble. In 72 hours of continuous combat, the humans had destroyed or disabled over 400 defensive platforms and 150 warships. His losses were catastrophic. "Order the fleet to withdraw," he commanded. "We're abandoning the system." His advisors stared at him in shock. "Lord, if we run, we'll be hunted down. Our reputation will be destroyed." "Our reputation is already destroyed," Skraxus roared. "These humans, they don't fight like any species I've ever seen. They don't stop. They don't retreat. They don't show mercy. If we stay here, they'll kill us all." He turned to his pilot. "Plot a course out of the system. Maximum speed," but he was too late. Commander Tejo had positioned ships at every jump point. When Skraxus's command ship tried to escape, 3 human destroyers were waiting. Lieutenant Jinwoo was piloting one of those destroyers. He had been tracking the Pirate Lord's ship throughout the battle, waiting for exactly this moment. "Target acquired," he reported calmly. Firing on engines. The command ship's faster-than-light drive exploded before it could activate. Skraxus's vessel tumbled through space, helpless. Human ships surrounded it on all sides. "This is Lieutenant Jinwoo of Earth Forces to Krevix command vessel," he broadcast. "You are disabled and surrounded. Surrender immediately or be destroyed." On the bridge of his crippled Shai, Commander Na-ri sat perfectly still in the captain's chair of the stealth corvette Shadowblade. Around her, the crew worked in near silence, communicating through hand signals and whispered words. They were deep in Kravik space, closer to the enemy than any human ship had ever been. Sensors? Nari asked quietly. Her tactical officer, a young woman named Mi-sun, checked her displays. 3 patrol ships passing at 8,000 kilometers. They haven't detected us. The Shadow Blade and her sister ships were humanity's newest weapons. Small, fast, and covered in experimental stealth technology that made them nearly invisible to most sensors. They had been sent ahead of the main fleet to gather intelligence on Krivik's Prime. Take us deeper, Nari ordered. I want to see their homeworld up close. The corvette slipped past the Krivik's patrols like a ghost. As they approached the inner system, more and more enemy ships appeared on sensors. Hundreds of them, all gathering at their fortress world. Mi-sun's eyes went wide. Commander, look at this. They're assembling everything they have. I count over 300 warships plus 500 orbital defense platforms. Nari studied the tactical display carefully. They know we're coming. They're going to make a stand here. Can we take that many? That's not for us to decide. Our job is to tell Commander Tejo what he's facing. Keep recording everything. I want detailed scans of every defense platform, every ship, every weakness. For the next 6 hours, the Shadow Blade mapped the Krivik's defenses. Then, as quietly as they had arrived, they slipped away into the darkness. Meanwhile, across 6 different sectors of space, human hunter-killer groups were systematically tracking down every Krivik's pirate they could find. Lieutenant Jinwoo, now commanding his own small squadron of 4 frigates, had become surprisingly good at predicting where the pirates would run. They always head for the trade routes, he explained to his officers during a briefing. They need supplies, fuel, and new targets. If we watch the major shipping lanes, we'll find them. And find them they did. Jinwoo's squadron caught a pirate group trying to raid a merchant convoy near a nebula cloud. The pirates scattered when they saw human ships, but Jinwoo had learned from Captain Hana. He split his forces, cutting off escape routes before the enemy even knew they were trapped. The pirates tried to hide in the nebula, thinking the sensor-disrupting gases would protect them. They didn't understand that humans had evolved to track prey through far more difficult terrain than glowing clouds in space. Take us in, Jinwoo ordered. Use thermal imaging and gravitational sensors. They can't hide their heat signatures or mass. His ships moved into the nebula like wolves entering tall grass. The pirates never saw them coming. Within an hour, 3 more Krivik's raiders were disabled and their crews captured. Jinwoo sent a message to Fleet Command with the coordinates of every pirate they had eliminated. The numbers were growing. In 2 weeks of operations, human forces had destroyed or captured over 80 Krivik's vessels. The pirates were being hunted to extinction. Back on Earth, Dr. Bora stood before the military council again. This time, her news was even more significant. We've been studying the battle recordings, she said, displaying footage of human ships fighting in various extreme conditions. What we're seeing confirms something important. Our ships can operate in environments that coalition vessels cannot. She showed a clip of a human destroyer fighting near the edge of a black hole's gravity well. This engagement took place in gravitational forces that would tear apart most coalition ships. Our vessels and crews handled it without any problems. Another clip showed human ships fighting inside a radiation storm. Coalition sensors would be completely blind in this environment. Our ships barely noticed the interference. Admiral Daijung leaned forward. Why? What makes us different? Because Earth is a death world, sir. We evolved to handle extreme conditions. Our technology reflects that evolution. We build stronger because we need stronger. Our crews can handle high-G maneuvers that would knock out most alien species. We can see through interference that blinds others because we learned to hunt in darkness. Through storms, in conditions that should have been impossible. She paused, making sure everyone understood. The coalition builds for comfort and efficiency. We build for survival. That's our edge. The council members nodded, understanding. They were learning that being from a death world was not a weakness. It was their greatest strength. Ambassador Yuna stood before the Galactic Council once again, but this time the atmosphere was different. The massive chamber was packed with representatives from dozens of species. Everyone wanted to see what the humans would say. The Velm counselor spoke first, his voice cold and formal. Ambassador Yuna, humanity has engaged in unauthorized military operations against the Krivik's corsairs. You have violated coalition protocols regarding conflict resolution. This council demands that you cease all military actions immediately. Yuna stood in the center of the chamber, feeling the weight of hundreds of alien eyes upon her. She had prepared for this moment. She had rehearsed what she would say. But now, standing here, she felt something different rising inside her. Anger. "No," she said simply. The chamber erupted in shocked whispers. The Quarks pulsed with agitated light. "No? You refuse a direct order from this council?" Yuna's voice was clear and strong. "For 3 years we asked for help. For 3 years we begged you to stop the raiders who were killing our people. We followed every protocol. We filed every form. We did everything by the rules." She looked up at the 3 elder species on their elevated platforms. "And you gave us nothing. Not aid, not sympathy, not even acknowledgement of our suffering. You told us to adapt, to accept our place, to stop being so volatile." Her voice grew stronger. 3,000 people died on New Pyongyang while you debated. 400 more on Frontier's Edge. We asked for justice and you gave us silence. We asked for protection and you gave us contempt. The Tandari rumbled with anger. "You overstep your bounds, Ambassador. This council has maintained peace for 3 centuries. We will not be lectured by a species that has been galactic for barely 50 years. Then let me make this simple," Yuna said. "We will stop our military operations when the Kriviks are eliminated. When every prisoner they have taken is returned. When reparations are paid for the lives they have stolen. Not before. This council orders you to cease immediately," the Velm said firmly, "or face severe consequences." Yuna smiled, and it was not a friendly expression. "You should have thought about consequences 3 years ago. We're done asking for permission." She turned and walked out of the chamber, her aides following. Behind her, the council erupted in chaos. That night, Ambassador Yuna received another private message from Counselor Thelvor. The young Velm looked worried. "What you did today was brave," he said. "But you have made powerful enemies. The hardline faction is pushing for military intervention. They want to send coalition forces to stop your fleet." "Let them try," Yuna said. She was surprised by her own certainty. "My people have been patient for too long. If the coalition wants to fight us while pirates kill our children, then the galaxy will see who we really are." Thelvor was quiet for a moment. "There are those of us who support you, Ambassador. Quietly, but we exist. Not all species agree with the elder races. But be careful. What comes next will change everything." The transmission ended. Yuna sat alone in her quarters, thinking about what she had started. There was no going back now. Humanity had drawn a line, and the galaxy would have to choose which side to stand on. Commander Tae-ho received the intelligence report from Nari's stealth squadron. He studied the tactical maps of Krivix Prime carefully, noting every defense platform, every ship, every potential weakness. His first officer looked over his shoulder. "That's a lot of firepower, sir. Are we really going to attack a fortress like that?" Tae-ho nodded slowly. "We have to. If we stop now, the Kriviks will recover. They'll go back to raiding. More humans will die. This has to end. When do we move?" 72 hours. That gives us time to prepare and for a few more ships to arrive. I want overwhelming force for this." He turned to address his senior staff. "This will be the largest military operation in human history. We're going to show the galaxy what Deathworlders can do. Make sure every crew is ready. We get one chance at this." As his officers left to carry out their duties, Tae-ho remained on the bridge looking at the star charts. Somewhere out there, the Kriviks were waiting. They thought their fortress was impregnable. They thought humans would back down when faced with superior numbers. They were about to learn how wrong they were. On Krev Prime, Pirate Lord Skraxus watched his forces assemble with satisfaction. Every clan had answered his call. 300 warships surrounded his world, and the orbital defense grid could destroy anything that approached. "Let the humans come," he said to his advisors. "We will crush them here. We will take their ships as prizes and sell their crews as slaves. The galaxy will remember the Kriviks as the ones who broke the Deathworlders." His advisors cheered, their confidence bolstered by the massive fleet they had gathered. None of them had ever fought humans before. None of them understood what was truly coming their way. In the darkness of space, the human fleet gathered. The war room deep beneath Earth's surface buzzed with quiet activity. Holographic displays showed star maps, ship positions, and tactical data streaming in from across human space. Admiral Dae-jung stood at the center of it all, watching everything with the calm focus of a man who had made his decision and would not look back. A younger officer approached him. Her name was Haewon, and she ran Earth's intelligence operations. She carried a data tablet that she handed to the Admiral without a word. Dae-jung read it carefully. His expression did not change, but those who knew him well saw his jaw tighten. "This is confirmed?" "Yes, sir. We've intercepted communications between the Coalition Council and the Krevix leadership. The attacks on our colonies were not random. The Council knew about them. They allowed them to happen. Why?" Dae-jung asked, though he suspected he already knew the answer. "To teach us humility, sir." Those were the exact words used by the Velm counselor in a private message. "They believe we are too aggressive, too confident. They want us to understand our place in the galactic order." Dae-jung handed the tablet back. "Thank you, Haewon. Make sure this information is distributed to all fleet commanders. They should know what we're fighting for, and what we're fighting against." Haewon hesitated. "Sir, there's more. We have reports that several Coalition species are watching our response carefully. If we show strength, some of them might support us. If we show weakness, we'll be seen as just another minor species to be pushed around. Then we'll show them strength," Dae-jung said simply. Across the room, Dr. Bora was presenting to a group of military officers. Her holographic display showed comparison charts between human biology and that of various Coalition species. "Look at these numbers," she said, pointing to a chart showing bone density. "The average Coalition species evolved in 0.6 standard gravity. We evolved in 1.0. Our bones are 40% denser. Our muscles are 50% stronger per unit of mass." She switched to another display. Reaction time. "The fastest Coalition species can react to stimuli in 0.3 seconds. Trained human soldiers can react in 0.15 seconds. We are literally twice as fast." An officer raised his hand. "What about endurance?" Bora smiled. "That's where it gets interesting. The average Coalition soldier can fight at peak effectiveness for about 4 hours before requiring rest. Humans, we evolved as persistence hunters. We chased prey across continents until it collapsed from exhaustion. A trained human soldier can maintain combat effectiveness for 16 hours or more." The room fell silent as the implications sank in. "There's something else," Bora continued. "Pain tolerance. Most Coalition species evolved in environments where serious injury meant death. They never developed high pain thresholds because they never needed them. Humans, we kept fighting with broken bones, infected wounds, and blood loss that would kill most galactic species. It's in our DNA." She closed the holographic display and looked at the assembled officers. "Gentlemen, ladies, we are not just another species. We are apex predators from a world that tried to kill us every day for millions of years. And we survived. The Coalition has no idea what they've awakened." Far from Earth, Captain Hana's destroyer, Indomitable, tracked the Krevix raiding fleet through a dense asteroid field. The pirates thought they were safe, hidden among the tumbling rocks and sensor-scattering debris. They had never fought humans before. "Tactical report," Hana said calmly. Jinwoo studied his displays. 23 enemy vessels. Mix of frigates and light cruisers. They're maintaining a defensive formation around what looks like a captured cargo hauler. That's probably where they're keeping the prisoners. Can we take them? Jinwoo looked up with a sharp grin. "Captain, we've got 3 other human destroyers in range. 4 ships against 23. The Krevix won't know what hit them." Hana opened a channel to the other human ships. "This is Captain Hana to all vessels. The pirates think they're hidden. Let's educate them. Target their engines first. We need that cargo ship intact." The 4 human destroyers moved through the asteroid field like sharks through water. Their crews had trained for combat in difficult environments, and this was nothing compared to the simulations they had run. As they closed in, the Krevix sensors finally detected them. The pirates scattered immediately, breaking formation and trying to run. It was exactly what Hana had expected. All ships execute pattern Delta 7. Drive them toward the gas giant. The human destroyers split up, each one herding a group of Krevix ships toward the massive planet that dominated the system. The pirates fired back desperately, but their weapons were designed for raiding soft targets, not military combat. Human shields absorbed the hits easily. Jinwoo called out targets, and the Indomitable's weapons fired with precise accuracy. One Krevix frigate lost its engines and tumbled away, helpless. Then another. And another. The battle lasted 17 minutes. When it was over, 20 Krevix ships were disabled or destroyed. 3 had managed to jump away into faster-than-light travel, running for their lives. The cargo hauler with the prisoners was intact, surrounded by human vessels. Hana opened a channel to the Krevix captain. "This is Captain Hana of Earth Forces. You are going to return every prisoner you've taken, all of them, not just from this raid, and you are going to tell your leaders something for me." The Krevix captain appeared on screen, his alien features twisted in fear. "What message?" "Tell them the humans are no longer asking for permission. Tell them we're coming, and tell them that Deathworlders do not forgive." The message spread through Krevix space like wildfire. Within days, every pirate group in the sector knew that humans had struck back. Some laughed, thinking it was a lucky victory. Others looked at the battle recordings and saw something that made their blood run cold. They saw ships moving through environments that should have been impossible to navigate. They saw crews fighting with a coordination that seemed almost telepathic. They saw a ferocity that none of them had ever encountered before. The Krevix pirate lord, a massive creature named Skraxus, watched the recordings in his fortress on Krev Prime. He had led the Corsairs for 20 years, raiding frontier worlds with impunity because the Coalition always looked the other way. Now these humans, these newcomers, had destroyed an entire raiding fleet. "Gather the clans," he ordered his lieutenants. "Every ship we have. We're going to crush these humans and show the galaxy what happens to those who challenge us." His advisors bowed and left to carry out his orders. Skraxus turned back to the recording, watching the human ships move through the asteroid field. There was something about the way they fought that bothered him. Something predatory. He shook off the feeling. The Krevix had numbers on their side. That was all that mattered. On the bridge of the Defiant, Commander Taeho reviewed reports from Captain Hana's engagement. Admiral Daejung had sent him a message of congratulations and new orders. The fleet was being assembled for the next phase. "How long until we're at full strength?" Taeho asked his first officer. 72 hours, sir. Ships are arriving from all over human space. Current count is 150 vessels." Taeho nodded. "And intelligence on Krevix Prime?" "Haywan's people are working on it." "Initial reports show heavy defenses. This won't be like the asteroid field." "No," Taeho agreed. "It won't be, but it will be decisive." He stood and walked to the viewport. More ships were arriving every hour, filling the space around Earth with military might. Carriers, destroyers, frigates, and several new heavy cruisers that had just been completed. This was the largest human fleet ever assembled. Somewhere in the back of his mind, Taeho wondered what the Coalition would say when they learned what humanity was planning. Then he decided he didn't care. The time for worrying about approval was over. Ambassador Yuna sat in her quarters on the Coalition station, watching news feeds from across the galaxy. The story of Captain Hana's victory was spreading fast. Some species were impressed. Others were concerned. A few were openly afraid. Her communicator chimed. It was a secure channel from an unknown source. Yuna hesitated, then answered. A Velm appeared on the screen, but not one of the ruling council. This one was younger, and its scales were a lighter shade of blue. "Ambassador Yuna, my name is Thelvor. I am a junior counselor. I need to speak with you privately about what is coming." "What do you mean?" "The ruling council is not pleased with your military actions. They are discussing ways to force humanity back into compliance. Economic sanctions, travel restrictions, even military action." Yuna felt cold fear in her stomach. "They would attack us?" "Some are pushing for it. Others want to wait and see if you will back down. I am contacting you because I believe the council is wrong. What happened to your colonies was unjust, but if this escalates, many species will suffer. Please tell your leaders to be careful." The transmission ended abruptly. Yuna sat in the darkness of her quarters thinking about what she had heard. Then she opened a channel to Earth. Admiral Daejung needed to know that the Coalition was preparing for war. The massive doors of the Galactic Coalition Council chamber slid open with a soft hiss. Ambassador Yuna walked through them with her head held high, though her hands trembled slightly at her sides. Behind her, 3 human aides followed in silence. They had done this 46 times before. Each time they had been turned away. Today would be the 47th attempt. The council chamber was enormous, built to accommodate representatives from 847 different species. Most of the seats were empty today. Only the 3 elder species sat in their elevated platforms, looking down at the floor where Yuna stood. The Velm representative was a massive creature covered in blue scales. The Quarix looked like a floating jellyfish surrounded by glowing lights. The Tandari resembled a collection of rocks that somehow moved and spoke. Yuna took a deep breath and began. Honored council members, I come before you once again to request immediate action. 2 days ago, the human colony on New Pyongyang was attacked by Krevik's corsairs. 3,000 civilians are dead. Among them were children, families, people who came to that world seeking a new life under the protection of this coalition. The Realm representative made a clicking sound that the translator rendered as bored indifference. Ambassador Yuna, we have heard these complaints many times now. The Kreviks operate in the frontier regions. The coalition cannot police every corner of space. But you could, Yuna said, her voice rising despite her best efforts to stay calm. You have the ships. You have the resources. These attacks have been happening for 3 years. We have provided coordinates, attack patterns, everything you need to stop them. Why won't you act? The Quarix pulsed with dim light. Perhaps humanity should reconsider its expansion into dangerous regions. Not every species is suited for frontier living. Some worlds are simply too harsh. Yuna felt anger burning in her chest. Too harsh? Honored counselor, my people come from Earth, a Class 12 death world. We have survived ice ages, plague, predators that hunted us for sport. We can handle harsh. What we cannot handle is being abandoned by those who promised to stand with us. The Tandari shifted its rocky form. Your passionate nature is noted, Ambassador. But the Coalition has maintained peace for 3 centuries through careful non-interference. We do not rush to violence every time there is a conflict. Perhaps humanity should learn this wisdom. You are young in galactic terms, still so volatile, so quick to anger. Quick to anger. Yuna's voice echoed through the vast chamber. 3,000 people are dead. How many more must die before you consider it worth your attention? The Velm made a dismissive gesture. This session is concluded. Humanity's petition is denied. Perhaps in time you will adapt to galactic realities. Yuna stood frozen for a moment, disbelief washing over her. Then she turned and walked out, her aides following. None of them spoke until they reached their shuttle. Far from the Coalition station, Commander Tejo stood on the bridge of the human flagship, defiant. He was a tall man with gray at his temples and scars on his hands from a dozen battles before humanity had even joined the galactic community. The communications officer approached him with a tablet. Sir, Ambassador Yuna's petition was denied. Tejo closed his eyes and nodded slowly. He had expected this. They all had. But hope died hard. There's more, sir, the officer continued. We've received orders from Earth Command. All human ships are being recalled immediately. Recalled? Tejo looked up sharply. Why? The message just says to return home for emergency consultations. All fleet commanders are to report directly to Admiral Dae Jung. Tejo turned to look out the viewport at the massive Coalition station floating in space. It was a marvel of engineering, a city in the stars where thousands of species lived and worked together. Or supposedly together. Humans had been members of the Coalition for 50 years, but they had never truly been accepted. Always the outsiders. Always the ones from the violent world who needed to be watched carefully. Set course for Earth, he said quietly. Best possible speed, 3 days later. Captain Hana brought her destroyer Indomitable into orbit around a human colony called Frontier's Edge. She was there for a routine patrol, but something felt wrong. Her sensors showed nothing unusual, but her instincts honed from years of combat experience told her to be careful. Run a full spectrum scan, she ordered. Look for anything that doesn't belong. Her tactical officer, a young man named Jin Wu, worked quickly at his console. Captain, I'm picking up residual energy signatures. Looks like at least 20 ships were here recently. The signatures match Krevik's vessels. Hana felt her stomach tighten. When? Less than 6 hours ago. Get me the colony administrator now. A face appeared on the screen, an older woman with fear in her eyes. Captain Hana, thank the stars you're here. They came without warning. 20 ships. They bombarded the northern settlement district. We lost 400 people before they left. Did they take anything? Supplies, equipment, and they took people. 50 colonists, all young and healthy. We think they're being sold as slaves. Hana's hands gripped the arms of her command chair so tightly her knuckles turned white. We're going after them. Captain, Jinwoo said carefully, we don't have authorization for offensive operations. We're supposed to be on patrol only. Hana stood up and walked to the viewport. She could see the colony below. Lights scattered across the dark side of the planet. Those were people down there. Human beings who had trusted that joining the coalition would keep them safe. Log my decision. she said. I am pursuing hostile forces that attacked a human colony. I will retrieve our people and eliminate the threat. If Earth Command has a problem with that, they can court-martial me later. She turned to her crew. Every face showed the same anger, the same determination that she felt. Set course for the last known trajectory of those Krevik ships. Battle stations. On Earth, in a secure military facility buried deep beneath the mountains, Admiral Dae-jung sat at the head of a long table. Around him were the leaders of humanity's military forces, diplomatic corps, and civilian government. The room was silent as everyone read the reports on their screens. 3,000 dead at New Pyongyang. 400 at Frontier's Edge, 50 taken as slaves, 47 petitions denied. 3 years of attacks with no response from the coalition. The question before us, Admiral Dae-jung said finally, is simple. Do we continue to ask permission or do we act? An older diplomat spoke up. If we act without coalition approval, they could expel us, declare us rogues. We would be alone in the galaxy. We're already alone, another voice said. It was the Minister of Defense, a woman named Bora, who had once been a xenobiologist. The coalition tolerates us. They don't help us. The difference is that now we're starting to understand why. She stood and activated a holographic display. I've been studying the biology of coalition species for years. Do you know what I've discovered? Not one of them comes from a world as dangerous as Earth. Their gravity is lower. Their climates are stable. Their predators are few. They evolved in gentle environments where cooperation was easy because survival was almost guaranteed. She turned to face the group. We are the only Deathworlders in the coalition. We are stronger, faster, and more adaptable than any of them, and they are terrified of us. That's why they won't help us. They're hoping the frontier will kill us off or teach us to be weak like them. The room erupted in angry voices. Admiral Dae-jung let them talk for a moment, then raised his hand for silence. So we decide, he said. Tonight. Do we continue to beg or do we show them what Deathworlders can do? The vote was unanimous. Commander Tae-ho received the orders 12 hours later. The message was brief but clear. Human forces were authorized to eliminate the Krevik's threat by any means necessary. No more asking permission. No more waiting for approval. He stood on the bridge of the Defiant and looked at his crew. They were waiting for his command. Beyond the viewport, the stars waited too. Somewhere out there, the Kreviks thought they were safe. They thought humans would keep asking nicely while their people died. They were wrong. All ships, Tae-ho said into the fleet communications channel. Prepare for combat operations. We're going hunting.